to the politicians in Austria, but also to the delegates at the conference. How is this all organized? I think you need two things for a delegation program. On the one hand, it's the money, the funding, and on the other hand, it's the organization, the structure behind. And the organization is done by a youth-led NGO called Climates Austria. They are independent from the government. So this is very important as I see it. And the funding is provided by the Ministry for Climate Action in Austria. So we have the funding, but still we are independent from the government. I think this is a very important precondition so that we can also have impact here at the COP and back in Austria. So how does our day look like? Usually we are giving interviews to the press and criticizing the government on those points where they have not yet delivered. Like, for example, the Austrian climate law, which has not been yet adopted. Close. Yeah, which has not yet been adopted, the Austrian Climate Act. And yeah, and also, like, for example, Austria is giving too little funding for international climate finance. This is also one aspect which we are always putting focus on, so that also Austrian media can, in the end, take our demands, put them into their articles, into their reports, and this makes somehow also pressure on the government that they deliver now and next year, especially also. And we do not have a council itself, but I think the cooperation between the youth delegation system, the youth delegates, and the local conference of youth is very important. There we can collect demands from young people and bring them to the COP.
Well, Natalia joined us. Natalia, do you hear us?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Oh, welcome. I will try to switch back. I don't know how to get back to the slides. Yeah, I see. One of the first slides was from an event led by your organization in Ukraine, by your association, by the National Youth Council of Ukraine. And as a public association of youth-led organizations, we would like you to share your perspective on the importance of taking action, taking part in negotiations, or at least consultations, representing the voice of youth from Ukraine. You have the word.
Thank you so much for invitation. My name is Natalia Shevchuk. I'm chairwoman of the National Youth Council of Ukraine. As it was mentioned by Ilyas, we are public union of youth organizations and associations, meaning that we unite more than 155 organizations as the number actual before full-scale invasion into Ukraine. We have various organizations, including the one which work on topics like ecology, climate change, work with young people on waste management, and so on. One of main focus which we have is youth participation and advocacy. Through the history of Ukraine, we were the only youth association which actually provided recommendations and wide-scale consultations with youth NGOs and young people in the regions for the state strategy on youth, and included their point about security and ecology, which was quite close to the topic of climate change. At least we started such a discussion. Regarding importance of youth participation, unfortunately, in Ukrainian realities, we do not receive any financial support or any official opportunity to represent young people in different high level initiatives which link to direct youth representation at high level political forums. The only one which is officially supported by government, it's UN youth delegates, and it's the only one. At the same time, National Youth Council, with the support of our German partners, was able to take part in Y7 Youth Summit, where one of the tracks was regarding biodiversity and nature protection. And here we were happy to deliver such topics as the impact of war into nature and biodiversity, especially for oceans and seas, how mining of these territories, what impact it will have in the future. In ecology and climate change activist field, there is also such a term as greenwashing. Similar we have for the youth participation. It's basically youth washing, which means that young people are invited to some of the events or given some of the space, but they are not actually heard. So basically, then they kind of can represent their thoughts. High-level politicians or decision makers can make their space for them to be heard, but their recommendations are not taken into consideration. In Ukraine, we always hear nothing for youth without youth, but very often this does not come with the practice. And it's not only the fact which we have for Ukraine. Youth washing becomes something as normal across the Europe, and we as the youth activists, as the youth organizations, should take much more action to change this, especially in such important topic as climate change, which doubly is also impacted by everyday missile strikes, attacks in Ukraine, which are happening even right now while we are talking with you. In case, Ilyas, if you have some questions from my side, that's something what I would like to finish on.
Had a cooperation, in fact, in the last year, and I hope we can continue our collaboration with a new format, the local UN conference, the local UN climate change conference of youth, as one of the instruments as institutionalized influence. But unfortunately, we need to wrap up quickly, and our recording will be available online on YouTube, and we can leave our contacts there, and people can write to us. Thank you for the conversation. Well.